Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss what must be Labour's most exciting announcement this year, and it wasn't even a Labour MP who revealed it. It's been reported that Sue Gray, Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff, talked about plans to use citizens' assemblies in order to take decision making away from Whitehall. Now, I know what you're saying. It might be exciting for you, you nerd, but it sounds boring to me. But no, this is huge. And you only need to see the instant reaction from the Tories, who have launched an all-out attack on the idea, to show that they are bricking it at the thought. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So citizens' assemblies are incredibly useful for representing the interests of people rather than Tory donors and professional lobbyists. But by far the biggest source of interest is that this is the road along which electoral reform must be delivered. But before I explain how this seemingly innocent statement, boring statement even, leads to the biggest shake-up of our electoral system for nearly a century, what are citizens' assemblies? Well, if you look at the way the Tories are made, oh yeah, you're giving these unelected groups powers and making decisions and stuff like that. Citizens' assemblies aren't for making decisions. The decisions are still made by Parliament. What, as the name suggests, what it is, it's a group of representative members of communities or regions or the country who consider a particular issue. They're set up to consider a particular issue, listen to evidence, come up with proposals for how they think a particular process should go. And they come up with recommendations, and those recommendations are then considered by Parliament, who still make the decision, right? Try to imagine like a parliamentary committee discussing a piece of legislation. You know, they have expert testimony, they discuss things amongst themselves, they make suggestions. Only this would be a group of ordinary citizens chosen to be representative of their region. The main difficulty will, of course, always be making sure that they are representative, that they are inclusive. You know, when I commented about this news on Twitter, someone made the point, for example, it must include disabled people who are housebound. Absolutely. And that is the greatest challenge with citizens' assemblies, making sure they're genuinely representative. But it's not like this is a new idea. There are citizens' assemblies used in countries all over the world, really. In fact, it's hard to find a country around even the north of Europe that doesn't. Even the UK has sort of used them. Even the Tories have sort of used them. So I'm going to come to this in a bit. There's a reason the Tories are going mad at this system, even though they themselves have used it. But when you sort out the system for doing that, they are so useful. Sue Gray mentioned that they've been used to very good effect in Ireland. But like I say, they're used all over. You know, the idea will be, of course, opposed by the Tories and their shills in the media. And given that I've just said, well, even the Tories have used them, why are they going mad at this news? Well, I think two major reasons. First, it takes decision making away from people who will be lobbied heavily by their donors, and it's into the hands of ordinary people who will conduct their work transparently for the rest of their communities to feel involved. Because that's what this is. It's taking decision making not away from Parliament, away from Whitehall. That's what Labour are saying as well. And the Tories hate this. But I doubt that's their main concern, because after all, however Labour decide to conduct their decision making, it is unlikely to favour the Tories and their closest supporters. For me, it's the second reason, because this is how electoral reform begins. In fact, Sue Gray talked about the Citizens' Assembly informing things like, you know, house planning, but also reform of the House of Lords. But my main target is the House of Commons. Now, I want to take you back to a stream I did 2 or 3 weeks ago. It featured the chair of the Labour campaign for electoral reform. We discussed the Labour statement on our electoral system from last year. So let me quote the statement. The flaws in the current voting system are contributing to the distrust and alienation we see in politics, but there is no consensus for a new system. Any proposed change to our voting system must be carefully thought through. It cannot be dictated by political leaders or forced upon the country from the top down. Now, there are two really important points to make about that statement, which, by the way, is official Labour policy. First is that Labour formally accepts that our current voting system is contributing to distrust and alienation in politics. So Labour officially consider our first past the post system to be bad, toxic even, which puts the onus on them to do something about it. But then the second part of the statement, Labour will not impose a change of electoral system on the public. The system which replaces our current one will not be dictated from the top down, they say. Sandy explained that what needs to happen is for what he called a constitutional convention to be set up of ordinary people, representative of their communities across the country, to consider different systems that could replace it and what system they would recommend that Parliament adopts. Basically, Sandy was saying, we need a citizens' assembly to decide at arm's length from the Labour Party and government so that a consensus is reached which covers all parts of society. And he also said he would be pushing for Labour to set up this assembly within their first term in power. Now, I thought this was a little bit ambitious, but now look, I imagine my reaction when I see a report this morning that Labour are planning citizens' assemblies for a range of major decisions to be made which Keir Starmer does not think should be centred around Whitehall. Game on. And the Tories have been coming out of the woodwork to attack it. Oh, all over the place. You had William Ragg, Tory MP, saying the House of Commons was a citizens' assembly. No, it isn't. There's nothing, it doesn't matter. Even if you had a representative system, like there is no system of electing a parliament, much less a first past the post parliament, that would mean MPs are really a close mirror for society. You've got way higher levels of privilege, such as private school backgrounds, numbers of landlords, millionaires, much more than the general public, and much lower levels of representation from people from more ordinary backgrounds. An actual citizens' assembly makes sure that it is a reflection of the public, or at least the voting public. I don't think anyone is suggesting we have a load of 5-year-olds involved. It's bad enough we let people with the maturity of 5-year-olds into Parliament. Interestingly, the Tories were attempting to open up a new culture war today. Did you see it? Against children this time. They've run out of other enemies. They're now picking on children. There were stories about, oh, they're going to let teachers rifle through kids' bags and nick their phones. I have to tell you, as a teacher, if their phone is in their bag, that's the best place for it. I ain't picking a fight by going through bags. And I don't think any other teacher would either. But the point is, they seem to have lost interest in that now. Because that's what they were going to go with today. Oh, new culture war, children this time. But now they're all crapping themselves about citizens' assemblies. An unnamed Tory, through Dan Hodges of the Mail on Sunday, said that the Brexit referendum was a citizens' assembly. No, it wasn't. There was no citizens' assembly involved. There should have been. In fact, the Brexit referendum was the furthest thing from a citizens' assembly. 100% of the people campaigning to leave were privately educated millionaires. But this will happen. Indeed, Dan Hodges said, oh, expect more of this. And he's right. He's absolutely right. There are lots of fears that the Tories have for a Labour government, but with most of them, they just expect to bide their time, wait for Labour to fall to pieces as they will and return to power, picking up where they left off. Won't take long to destroy Labour's legacy of improvements to public services, real terms pay, citizens' rights again. Didn't take them long last time, won't take them long again. But electoral reform, that's what they really fear. With that, their path to power becomes way more complicated and probably involves massively watering down the more extreme capitalist tendencies. Because here's the thing. Citizens' assemblies, Labour can use citizens' assemblies for all sorts of decision making, right? It doesn't mean that when the Tories come back to power, they have to. So that's not really what they fear. There are actually, I saw one bizarre voice within Labour saying they don't like citizens' assemblies, which is weird because it's Luke Akehurst. I'm pretty sure he's pro-PR, and this is the only way you get PR. But the fear there will be, oh, that'll water down my own power, my own influence, right? But the Tories recognise this for what it is, because the next Tory government, of course, does not have to use citizens' assemblies just because Labour did. No, they recognise that citizens' assemblies are the route to electoral reform. So even if you think that they don't sound all that interesting, or you can see the downsides, consider that the Tories are terrified of the concept. They're so terrified of the concept that they were carefully carrying this new culture war of theirs today, and then saw that news and then instantly dropped it and went, no, we now must channel our hate towards citizens' assemblies. This is actually a huge announcement from Labour. You wouldn't think so, but it is massive. It didn't even come from a Labour MP. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.